Many blind people play sports, and many are really active sports like hockey. We're at the Lemieux Sports Center here in Cranberry Township. Let's learn about blind hockey as we step inside. The director of Hockey Sticks Together is with us. She's Michelle Humphreys. Now, Michelle, there's a lot of hockey under this roof. A lot of it is involved with the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, which is the big magnet. What is the connection between your organization and the Penguins?
So we help the Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation manage all the special hockey teams, the disabled teams, and intercity teams here in Pittsburgh. They work with us to provide the funding for all of these programs. We couldn't do this without their generous support. So we help each of these programs get ice time, provide equipment for them, and we also make sure that the kids are able to travel and get to the tournaments that they like to go to.
What's hard for some of us to understand is how somebody who is blind or visually impaired can play hockey or some of these other sports. How can they play hockey? What form does it take?
It's awesome. So hockey is for everyone, and it doesn't matter what your abilities are. So for blind hockey, it was a new concept here in Pittsburgh. It's been around Canada for about 30 years, introduced to the States about 4 years ago, and Pittsburgh was the second team in the country to embrace the sport and give these kids an opportunity to get out and play. It's exciting for these kids. A lot of them like to get out and be active, and this gives them an environment that's enclosed where they can feel the freedom of skating and the wind flying through their hair as they whip down the ice. It's exciting for them to get that opportunity to get out and do this on their own. A lot of sports that they do include biking or things that they need to have a partner with in this, and they're able to judge distances here with the kids and volunteers around them, and they're able to skate.
Let's see how this works, because hockey is a very fast sport. Takes a lot of endurance. The puck travels at great speeds. How can somebody who is blind catch up with it all?
Well, it's really an exciting sport to watch. If you watch the more competitive athletes, you wouldn't know that they were blind. They play with a different puck. You hear the puck. It's a huge puck that has ball bearings in the middle. It rattles, so the players have an idea of where that puck is on the ice. And then there's different rules, such as a whistle when they go into the defensive zone. There's a double whistle, a double pass, so the goalie knows that the puck is coming at them. So they just use other senses. Not every kid is totally blind. There's kids of varying vision out here. So typically a goalie is a completely blind player. They call them a totally blind player. And then there's different levels from there, depending on who's a forward and a defenseman, based on the different classifications for the blinds.
What's the age group? How young can they be to play blind hockey?
We can take kids anywhere from the age of 3 on up to their 60s. We've had a few U.S. veterans come out. They joined the program through a Blind and Veterans Administration grant through USA Hockey. They got to experience getting on the ice. One of our grandfathers had a grandson who plays stand-up hockey and came out and pushed his grandfather around, and it was a good experience for both of them to bond through hockey.
When these youngsters get together for hockey, is that the first time they get together with other blind kids?
No, so they don't. They have a lot of other sports to play, like goalball. Wendy Fagan is tremendous at providing opportunities for blind athletes to play other sports. They kayak, they canoe, they come to camp. But this is one of their first opportunities to get on the ice. A lot of the kids skating here today for camp have never touched the ice, don't really know what to expect. But then they get out here, they get an opportunity to play, and we provide all opportunities for kids. There's therapeutic kids who just want to come out and skate for exercise. We have opportunities for kids who want to come out and be competitive and play. So there's something for everyone.
Let's talk about the kids themselves. Once they come into a program like this, they're with other people, maybe for the first time also, who are visually impaired or blind. And must make them feel pretty good that they're not alone in this situation.
No, it's special. That's what's special about all of the disabled programs that we support in hockey. It gives them an opportunity to play a sport they love, just like all the other kids. It gives them an opportunity to experience the freedom and the independence. It builds self-esteem, and it's just a great social way for these kids to get out and get together.
What's the hardest part for a youngster who has never played hockey before to learn how to play blind hockey?
You know, I think for a lot of them, just the experience of getting on the ice and the sensation of how cold it is. A lot of the kids who walked down the hallway today, the locker rooms, talked about how cold it is in the hallway. So I think for them, it's hard to get out there, to get adjusted to the ice, to get adjusted to the feel of just the sensation of skating. It's hard enough to skate, yet alone to be blind, and to use all their senses and come together to skate and start moving the puck is pretty exciting and special to see.
Well, skating alone would be a challenge.
It is. I can't skate, so I think it's tough enough for these guys to skate. But no, they pick it up, and we have a lot of great volunteers, and that's a really nice part of this. We have a lot of youth hockey volunteers who dedicate their time and come out to help the kids, so they have one-on-one support. So we have to make sure we have enough coverage for all of these kids. So it's exciting for them to get out, meet new kids, and it's exciting for our volunteers to get to experience kids playing hockey just like they are, and maybe just a little bit of a different fashion.
Michelle, I know some people want some more information. Do you have a website?
We do. So if anyone's interested in getting their child involved or themselves involved, we have a website, hockeystickstogether.org. We support blind hockey programs, sled hockey programs, disabled veterans programs, and we have 4 teams for cognitively disabled.
I think it's time for us to talk to some of the hockey players within the organization that you're talking about. Michelle, thanks very much.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Larry.
Emma Paparella is a Woodland Hills High School student. She's 16 years old, and you're blind, right?
Yes, I am legally blind.
When somebody approaches a blind person, how do they do it? What's the right, so as not to hurt your feelings?
So the first thing you want to do for sure is you want to say hello, then you want to say who you're talking, who you are, so that way the person that you're talking to knows who you are. And it just helps the blind person know who they're talking to.
Do many people feel awkward when they're talking with you?
I mean, I don't think my friends do, because, they're pretty understanding about my vision, or they forget that I'm blind sometimes, because I'm so adaptive to my stuff, so.
Let's talk about the hockey program here. When did you first get involved?
I just started this past August, actually, so I've only been doing it since August.
Is it hard to play a sport you've never played before? Not only the skating part, but also the playing part.
Oh yeah, it definitely has its challenges, but it's so much fun that you don't even realize how hard it is. Honestly, it's so much fun.
Are you a pretty good player?
I would say I'm decent for just starting. I still have a lot to work on, and I know I have a lot to work on, but I work hard and have fun. So.
Now, what's the reason that you came here? Why did you decide on blind hockey?
So I go to this camp called Envision Blind Sports Camp, which is up at Slippery Rock University, and every year we do a Try Hockey Day. So last year at our Try Hockey Day, I decided I was going to join the team because I had so much fun with it.
What do you plan to do with your life after high school? What happens?
I would like to attend Slippery Rock University, and I would like to major in either special education or recreational therapy with a minor in adapted physical activity.
Will it be more difficult for you because of your sight problem?
I don't think so, and if it will be, I have faith in myself that I'll get through it because I've gotten through high school. I'm going through high school, and it's working out okay, so I'm confident about it.
Is your world much different from everybody else's world?
We definitely have things that are different, but you just live with it. You learn how to adapt, and you just live your life, honestly.
You're having fun.
I am. That's all I care about is having fun. I like to say live life to its fullest, so.
Thanks so much. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Another blind hockey player here at the arena here in Cranberry Township is Michael Delahanty. And let's see, you're a high school student. Oh, you just finished high school. What school was that?
I graduated from Baldwin High School.
Have you been blind all your life?
I have. I have a rare eye condition that only affects 1 in 40,000 people.
Does that make you feel very different from everybody else?
At some points it does. At more difficult points, such as being in a regular educational classroom. But at points like this where I'm able to go out on the ice and play hockey, or whether I'm at the Envision Blind Sports Camp, at those points I really don't feel so different.
When you're in the classroom, are there some things you can't do because of your eye situation?
Well, something my parents always taught me from a very young age is never say I can't do something. But there have definitely been obstacles in which I haven't been able to do things, such as, math has always been an obstacle. Math and science, looking at smaller numbers or looking at graphs and charts, but I've always found a way to be able to work through those.
Why did you decide to start playing blind hockey?
Well, my one friend who plays on the team, Danny, he's from Ohio, so we don't get to hang out that often, but he was in town for a hockey practice, and he said, you ought to come check it out. So I came up and thinking I was just going to watch, but Wendy Fagan said, let's get you on some skates. And I said, all right, I'll try it out. And from then on, I loved it.
So there are two things here. One is to learn how to skate, and then one is to learn how to play hockey.
Yes.
Doing both at the same time, wasn't that tough?
It was. Obviously, skating is tough for any new skater. You know, I had never skated before I started blind hockey. But then, you know, after you master being able to stand up on your skates and being able to skate really good, then comes the hockey stick and the hockey puck and having to work with that.
How long have you played blind hockey?
A little over a year now.
Have you learned a lot? Are you a pretty good skater now?
I have. Not only due to Envision and the Pittsburgh Penguins blind ice hockey has really helped me a lot, but I also got some private lessons on the side that really helped me a lot.
Where does this all lead? Are there some other goals in hockey that you're looking at?
Not at this moment. I really want to get better as a player. You know, there's always room for improvement, but for right now, I'm really happy with where I'm at.
Michael, good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Wendy Fagan is the director of Envision Blind Sports. And I have to tell you, Wendy, when I mentioned to some people before we came here to do this program and mentioned blind hockey and blind other sports, their mouths dropped open because they couldn't envision just how far you can go with sports with sightless people.
It's endless. There's endless opportunities when you're working with individuals who are blind and visually impaired. There's very few sports that you can't modify, and people don't realize it. And several times it's just perhaps being a little more verbal, like if you're downhill skiing. Other sports might use auditory equipment like goalball, which is one of the elite sports for blind and visually impaired, a Paralympic sport. Or beep baseball that uses beeping bases and beeping balls, and five-a-side football, which is basically soccer for people who are blind. They have a ball with BBs inside of it. So there's a lot of very simple modifications in addition to some more technological modifications. For instance, running, you can do it with a 50-cent piece of rope, tie it up like a tether, and they have the same freedom to run as we do. So there's wrestling and judo, track, all the track and field events. It's endless. Swimming. We do just about everything you can imagine. Yesterday we did blind tennis. They have balls that are adapted, which is just amazing to watch that happen. We do 20 different sports while we're at camp.
Let's start from the beginning. How old are some of the younger players?
We have them, they're allowed to come when they're as young as 5, but this year we have several 6- and 7-year-olds, so we have a large group of little ones under the age of 8, and they come in on a Sunday night and they stay for 6 straight days without their parents, so it's kind of amazing. And then our oldest athletes are 17 or 18.
Now let's talk about the parents, because many times a parent might be reluctant to have their young 5-year-old, 6-year-old play something as combative as hockey. Aren't they concerned about their safety?
Well, when it comes to Envision Blind Sports Camp, they're more worried about them being away from home than what they're playing. They want them to try new sports. Sometimes they don't understand because they may be new to having a child who's blind or visually impaired, and they've been getting used to some other issues. But when they finally learn about the sports and see what they can do, it's very empowering and exciting, and they love to see what their children can do.
Wendy, how did you get involved with this whole concept?
Well, many years ago, 30 to be exact, I decided I want to get my master's degree in adaptive physical activity. And a very wise woman named Dr. Claudine Sherrill at Texas Women's University said, find what you're passionate about. So I tried every disability sport I could, and I fell in love with blind sports.
Are some of the athletes pretty good even though they are blind?
Absolutely. One of our counselors, who used to be one of our athletes, is now a Paralympic athlete. That means he plays in the Paralympic, which is the top elite level for athletes that have physical disabilities or sensory disabilities like visual impairment. And so, yeah, we have several athletes that are incredibly competitive and at the top of their game. So we have all different levels of abilities at our camp.
Are some of them completely blind, cannot see anything at all?
We have 70 campers this year, which is the largest camp we've ever had. And I would say at least a third are either totally blind or incredibly low vision. So maybe actually closer to a half.
Is this a national program, this Envision Blind Sports?
It's a local program. We're a grassroots organization, but our organization actually services anyone that wants to come. So we have kids from below us. We have in West Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. We've had athletes from Michigan, and we have a lot of athletes from Ohio.
I think it's really interesting to see some of these kids play. And are there boys and girls both?
Absolutely, yes. We have a variety of all kids, all ages, boys and girls.
Because you have so many different sports in your program, how does a youngster decide which one?
Well, that's one of the reasons that we do it, because all of our kids are in public schools. And when they're at their school, most of them are the only kid with a visual impairment or a blindness in their entire school. So we try to teach them as many sports as we can in a week, so that when they go home, they feel empowered to go back to their physical education teacher and say, hey, I can do this sport with a little bit of modification, or hey, this is how you can help me, so that they're not constantly walking the track or lifting weights and not getting involved with everybody else. You know, we have beeping kickballs, we have beeping baseballs, we have balls that make noise, we have goal balls, we have a lot of ways to adapt that have absolutely nothing to do with noise. So it gives them a little taste of everything, and then when they go home and they're living at home, they can pick and choose. We've had athletes that have picked judo, athletes that have wrestled, athletes that do track, athletes that swim. So each of them finds what they love, and then that's what they go with.
These young people who had a rather restrictive life before they get into this blind sports program, doesn't it do something to them personally and their interrelationships with other people?
Well, I think the greatest relationship that is developed is that they get, when they come to camp, this is, for most of them, the one opportunity where they get to be around a lot of other kids that are just like them, because they spend the year in their typical schools, in their neighborhoods, which is wonderful. We're happy that they're there and that they're included in their school's activities. But when they come here, there's a sense of community that they don't get, because they get to be around some people and let their guard down, because they learn, wow, I'm not the only blind kid in the school or in the world. And for some of them, it's very eye-opening. And we find that they build lasting friendships and people that will be in their lives forever. And we've had some incredible stories of kids. I know when Emma talks to you guys today, she'll tell you she met her best friend at camp. And they continue to keep a relationship and do things throughout the year. They talk to each other, text each other, and communicate with each other. And it's a wonderful addition to not only learning sports, but building friendships, developing independence. They can work on learning about like technology that's out there for the blind, and how do you do this, and what do you do that's different than me. And they learn from each other about navigating the world a little differently. Our kids are only blind or visually impaired. They don't have physical disabilities. Generally speaking, people forget that individuals that are blind do everything we do. So it's a sensory disability. It's not a physical disability. So therefore, that's why there is no limit to what they can do, except maybe drive, a car, and that's evidently changing too. But everything else, we find a way to make it work.
Wendy, a lot of people have now become interested in blind sports. If they need some more information about somebody in their family or they themselves, how do they contact you?
That's an excellent question. We're really looking to continually expand our program and give more opportunities to not only individuals that are blind and visually impaired, but people in the community that want to become part of this program and volunteer and maybe be a kayaking buddy or a canoeing buddy, or take someone paddleboarding or going a whitewater rafting trip, or learn how to ski. And so we would love to have people involved of all different abilities and all different, for what they want to do. And they can look us up on envisionblindsports.org, our website.
Wendy, this has been a real instruction here today. Thanks so much for filling us in, and thanks for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I love doing it. Please come out anytime you want and visit us. Our kids are amazing, and once you get to know them, you'll understand why it's such a great program.
It surprised me when I learned that sign language is not just for people who can't hear. An American Sign Language is a whole different language that we want to learn something about with Maryann Schoener. She's been teaching sign language for some time now. What is American Sign Language?
It's hearing with your eyes. It's the art of shaping your hands to form words of speech.
Now this, you told me a while ago, is not just for people who can't hear. They can't hear a speech. This is for younger people too, isn't it?
Yes, it's for all walks of life. First, you can communicate with the hearing impaired. Secondly, you can learn a new language.
Maryann, I understand that some colleges and universities consider sign language a second language.
Yes, it's actually the third most popular language in the United States. It can also be used as a language to teach people that aren't hearing impaired. It's an accredited course that can be taken at universities and colleges all over the United States.
Even infants should learn this and can learn it easily.
Yes, the Mayo Clinic has done research on sign language for babies, and babies as young as 6 months old can learn how to do signs in sign language.
Now, what kind of language, what would they say? What would a 6-month-old child communicate?
They could say eat, drink, more. Then you would know what they wanted.
Who do you teach to and where do you teach it?
I teach at Dayspring Ministries in Elwood City.
And who are your students?
They come from all walks of life, from tiny babies on up to the older person.
You told me earlier that a baby that learns to sign when they're 6-month-old somehow becomes a better talker later on?
Yes, the Mayo Clinic has done research on these babies, and they can become more articulate, have a larger vocabulary, and they can also even maintain a higher IQ.
Some of your classes are with people of different ages. Tell us about maybe the last class you taught.
The last class I taught was at Dayspring, and they learn basic words, everyday words that they can use, also the alphabet.
Show us one of those words.
One of those words would be wonderful.
That's easy enough to learn.
Yes, it is.
It's interesting that people come to you when they just want to learn something that they've never known before. But do they know initially coming into your programs how beneficial it's going to be?
I think they learn after a while. They repeat classes. There are never any exams or tests, and there is no homework.
If somebody wants some more information, do you have a website?
Yes, they can get on Dayspring Harvest Ministries, or they can call 724-752-1512 for more information.
Maryann, thanks very much.
You're welcome very much.
The American Sign Language, and something that maybe you want to look into because it might help you, even though that there's no speech problem, no hearing problem. I'm Larry Berg. We'll see you next time on Faces and Places.